Hello everyone, Josh Batkin joining you here from FEMA headquarters in Washington, D.C., where we are very closely monitoring Hurricane Matthew and the impacts from it. We did potentially not see a worst case scenario in southern Florida earlier today, but we are seeing significant impacts up and down the Florida coast, and we are very concerned not only about central and northern Florida, but we're very worried about Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina too. So I'm here with my friend Jill and my friend Daniel Porter with NOAA. And Daniel, can you tell us the latest? What's going on with Hurricane Matthew? Very significant event right now.
Yeah, it's a very significant event that we have ongoing. Even though the storm is weakening somewhat as it's paralleling the coast of Florida, we still have a very powerful hurricane that's making its way along the Florida coast, and it is now expected to continue to parallel the coast of Georgia as well as South Carolina as we go into the upcoming weekend. And certainly by the time we get into early next week, it'll eventually move its way away from the United States. So even though the storm is weakening somewhat, we still have some very powerful winds along the coastal areas. We still are anticipating hurricane force winds along the coast from northeast Florida all the way up into South Carolina and North Carolina, where wind gusts could still approach over 100 miles per hour. So that could certainly lead to some significant damage in these particular areas, Josh.
So Daniel, what are we worried about with the hurricane? We're worried about the wind you just mentioned.
So certainly the wind. We also have the risk for coastal flooding across these areas. As the wind pushes the water along the coast, we do anticipate significant flooding along the coastal areas, where some areas could see water 6 feet deep above ground level in some of these areas. So there will be significant impacts along those coastal areas.
So major hurricane with significant winds, significant storm surge as all that water gets pushed inland. And then we're worried about the rain too.
Absolutely. So not only will this storm cause strong winds and coastal flooding, we are anticipating several inches of rainfall along northeast Florida and stretching up even into the Carolinas. In fact, the Weather Prediction Center is indicating that we could see 6 to 12 inches of rain. Even some areas could exceed 15 inches of rain, and that will certainly lead to the threat for flash flooding. In fact, we have already seen significant flash flooding already in northeast Florida, where Jacksonville, Florida is seeing significant rainfall leading to flash flooding in that area. In addition to that, we're also anticipating river flooding in some of these areas as well. So St. John's River, the St. Mary's River, and even some of those rivers along the coastal areas all the way up into South and North Carolina will certainly be at risk for flooding as we go into the weekend and into early next week.
So Daniel, it seems every time we get together, you get to deliver the bad news and I get to do some of the good news. So you help me with this. But there are still things you can do to protect yourself, your family, your neighbors, and we are encouraging everyone to do that. So what is the top line message, Daniel? Listen to your state, local, and tribal authorities. If they have told you to evacuate, you need to evacuate. You need to get out of harm's way. You need to find a safe place to ride out the storm. That's especially true, I guess, in Florida. We hope people are already in those shelters and they're hunkered down. Do we have a little bit of time for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina?
If you haven't made your evacuation, haven't followed those evacuation orders already in Georgia and South Carolina, I would encourage you to do that right away.
Running out of time.
You are running out of time.
Okay. So we need people to do that. If you get that order, please evacuate. Find a safe place. We can replace property. We want to ensure that lives are protected as much as possible. And then, once that storm blows through, I don't think we want people to immediately go back outside, right, Daniel?
That's absolutely right. And the other thing to also keep in mind is don't forget to don't drive through flooded roadways. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If you see a flooded road in front of you, don't drive through it. It doesn't take much water to swift your car away or your vehicle away.
Yep. So once that storm goes, very good advice, turn around, don't drown. Once that storm goes through, you also need to listen to your state, local, and tribal authorities until they give you the all clear. It will be dangerous for you to be back out on the road immediately, and we need to have that space available for responders to get in there and do their jobs.
Absolutely, good advice.
Let's talk, Daniel, can we talk for a minute about the resources that are out there to help people? I know you have a great webpage, hurricanes.gov.
Yeah, absolutely. Hurricanes.gov, you'll get the latest forecasts from the National Hurricane Center. We're updating them every 3 hours. Also, you can go to the Weather Prediction Center's webpage to get the latest information on the rainfall threat across those areas as well. In addition to that, make sure you listen to your local weather forecast offices. We have several offices covering the forecast areas across this region. Stay tuned to your local weather forecast and your NOAA Weather Radio as well.
And that's critically important. That is the information that is being used at the local level and the state level to make those evacuation determinations. It's also the information that we here at FEMA and the federal government rely upon to make sure that we are pre-positioning the assets, resources, people, food, water, cots, generators that states and tribes might need after an event. So we're relying on that information so we can pre-position those resources, and we have done that. We have people in every state who are working very closely with the governors and their teams so that we know what they might need from the federal family, and we can provide that information. I did want to mention as well, Daniel, there's other great resources in addition to hurricanes.gov out there. We do have a FEMA app. We would encourage everyone to download that from the iTunes Store and the Google Play Store. You download that app now, hopefully before you lose power. You charge your devices, and you can use that app to find the closest American Red Cross shelter, the closest local shelter to you if you still need to get to safety. You can also get regular weather alerts from the National Weather Service on that app, and it has great preparedness tips about what to do if you do have a hurricane coming, or if you live all the way over on the west coast and luckily you're not in the path of this storm, you can still download that app and take advantage of the information there to help you with earthquakes, hurricanes, and 18 other hazards as well. So please do take the time now to download that device, download that app, and you'll have that information right in your pocket on your phone. So, Daniel, we're monitoring the storm very closely.
That's
we
right.
want people to continue to pay attention.
That's right, still a very powerful storm. It will be in the southeastern United States at least through Saturday, possibly into Sunday as well. We'll most likely see flooding well into next week, so remember those safety tips that Josh brought up.
I hesitate to ask you, but what about the models that say the storm might loop back towards Florida next week?
There is that possibility once it makes its way back out into the Atlantic Ocean. There is the possibility of the system moving back down towards the Bahamas, but the good news here is it'll be a notably weaker system, and in fact, it may even deteriorate down into possibly a tropical depression by the time it gets down into the Bahamas region or possibly close to the Florida coast. So definitely something we're going to need to keep an eye on over the next several days. Just stay tuned to the latest forecast from the National Weather Service.
Okay, so potentially a next week problem. Right now we're focused on the immediate significant threat from this major hurricane right off the coast of Florida. Please take action. Please be prepared. Check on your friends, your neighbors. Check on your pets. Please get to safety and make sure you take advantage of those tools, hurricanes.gov and the FEMA app that you can download as well. We'll be staying in touch with you. Thank you for watching today, and please stay safe.